Welcome to Privacy News Online Weekly News. My name is Brian Tong and I'm your host. Police served warrant on Google to identify George Floyd protesters. Police used a type of warrant known as a geofence warrant to ask Google for information on all accounts that were close to a particular store in a 20-minute window around when the store was looted. Police already have video evidence of what happened, but we're trying to identify a key suspect who is yet to be charged and is referred to as simply Umbrella Man. Now, in doing so, they now have the identities of hundreds of George Floyd protesters that were doing nothing but peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. Users have privacy concerns about Microsoft's inclusion in Raspberry Pi OS. The official open source operating system for Raspberry Pi devices now includes the Microsoft VS Code repository by default. While this move does increase usability and future integration prospects for Pi devices, it also means that Microsoft now gets information from users of the operating system. Raspberry Pi users that don't want their devices phoning home to Microsoft should now consider downloading another flavor of Linux. Time to get rid of pervasive online ad tracking once and for all. The alternative is simple, effective, and fully respects privacy. Between iOS 14's app tracking transparency updates and Google's moves against third-party cookies, the old way of ad tracking might finally be taking a back seat to more privacy-conscious approaches. Now, one such approach, proposed by Google, suggests tracking by cohorts instead of individually, but even that may still be too revealing. The real option that respects privacy has been here all along: contextual advertising. All right, let's go to the latest cybersecurity news from Josh, our correspondent from Intego.
Here are this week's top cybersecurity stories, brought to you by Intego. Plex Media Server, a popular app for streaming video libraries, is being abused to amplify distributed denial-of-service attacks. Approximately 27,000 Plex Media servers are exposed to the internet, many of which can be exploited and used in DDoS attacks. To mitigate the vulnerability, users should update Plex Media Server to the latest version and consider disabling UPnP on their routers. Meanwhile, a fake version of WhatsApp for iOS has been observed in the wild. Deceptive web pages trick victims into installing a profile that allows an attacker to deploy malicious apps to their iPhone. iPhone users can stay safe by never installing profiles offered by websites and only downloading apps from the App Store. That's it for now. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you for all that, Josh. Hey, now it's time for some good news for privacy. South Africa's highest court bans bulk internet surveillance. South Africa first ruled to ban internet mass surveillance in 2019, but the decision was appealed by the Minister of State Security. This most recent court decision, handed down by the South African Constitutional Court, means that the ruling is final. The government now has 3 years to come up with a better communications interception law that doesn't violate South Africans' constitutional rights. Clearview AI ruled illegal by Canadian privacy authorities. The facial recognition company preferred by law enforcement in the United States that brags about having over 3 billion facial recognition scans in their database to check against is no longer welcome in the Great White North. Canada's Office of the Privacy Commissioner has ruled that Clearview AI's use of our pictures is so inappropriate that even giving consent wouldn't make it any better. Clearview AI's response is that Canada's laws don't apply to them. All right, everybody, now you're up to date on the latest. Privacy News Online is brought to you by Private Internet Access, the award-winning no-log VPN service that lets you protect up to 10 devices at the same time with apps for Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS. Don't wait another second. Check out the links below where you can also find a link to learn more about all the stories in this week's Privacy News Online. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Tong, and we'll see you next time.